Unit 7, Lesson 1. In this unit, we're going to be talking about percents and all kinds of things with percents. In this first lesson, we're going to mostly be talking about converting between fractions and decimals and percents. We're going to start with a couple of examples where we are going to convert to a fraction. You're likely in the instructions on a problem to see it say convert to a fraction in simplest form or as a reduced fraction. Either way, we're wanting to reduce our fractions to their lowest possible, to their just reduced fractions, right? And at least in this class, mostly, unless we're talking about slope or a scale or anything else, we want, instead of improper fractions, we want mixed numbers, right? So, our examples. Example number 1. We're going to convert 60% to a fraction. Okay? So, to convert a percent to a fraction, we divide by 100. Okay? So, we're going to take this guy and we're going to do 60 over 100. Then we need to, for that simplest form part, we need to reduce this guy. So the first thing we can do, since they both end in 0, we can start by canceling out a couple of the zeros, right? So then, after that, we've got 6 over 10, so we can divide the top and bottom by 2, right? Divide by 2, and we're going to divide by 2. And we end up with the reduced fraction 3/5. All right, let's do another one, kind of like that, but kicking it up a notch. So we're going to convert 12.5% to a fraction. Now, we're really going to do the same thing in order to do that. Now, I'm going to start by converting 12.5 to a decimal, because our next step is going to be easier if it's a decimal. That's rarely true. You won't hear me say that very often. A lot of arithmetic that you do by hand is easier with fractions than it is with decimals. But we're going to do 12.5 divided by 100. Okay? All right? So what we need to do first is we need to get this not be a decimal, right? In order to divide this out and reduce this fraction. So we need that to not be a decimal. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move the decimal on the top one place. If we do that on the top, we've got to move it one place down here. So this ends up equaling 125 out of, 1,000. Now, so we actually can reduce all the way by 125 on this one, but we're gonna pretend like you don't see that, right? So we're gonna divide by 25, because you can probably see that, right? We got the 25 at the end, we got the whole quarter thing going on, so we're gonna divide by 25. Divide the top and bottom by 25. So this equals 125 divided by 25 is 5. And then 1,000 divided by 25 would be 40. Now, 5 and 40 reduces, so let's reduce that guy again. We'll reduce it by 5, right? So this reduces all the way down to 1 out of 8. 1/8, right? Let's go the other way and write these. Oh, not go the other way. We're going to do some special. My goodness, having a cough. It's probably because that's a Coke. And the sugar, was probably a mistake when I've been having a bunch of dry throat to drink something with sugar in it. That was probably a dumb idea. Oh, well. Oh, well. What's done is done. Can't undo it. All right, number 3, we're going to convert 0.8% to a decimal. We're going to do this one a lot like the last problem, right? Because we're going to write this as 0.8 over 100. All right. Now, to get rid of that decimal on the top, just like we did last time, we're going to move the decimal over one place. Move the decimal over one place. And then we end up with 8 over 1,000. Those both reduce by 8. Believe it or not, we can reduce those by 8. Because 8 divided by 8, of course, is 1. And 1,000 divided by 8 is 125. Blapo. All right, let's do another one. How about one like this? I can't do example 3 twice. What is that? What is this world coming to? How about 175%? So we start by putting it over 100. 175 over 100. Now, this is an improper fraction, so we've got to convert it to a mixed number, but it might be easier if we go ahead and reduce it some first. We can divide the top and bottom by 25, at least. We may be able to go further than that. Let's start with by 25. Again, thinking quarters, $75 over $1, et cetera, right? So 175 divided by 22. What the heck have I written? What happened here? How about 5? 25. All right. 175 divided by 25 is 7. And 100 divided by 25 is 4. Now we got to convert that to a mixed number. So we go into our scratchy paper space and do 4 into 7. 4 goes into 7 once. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. We end up with 3. So our final answer here is 1 3/4. A note. Since this is a pre-algebra class and all of those things, you have, up until this point, been used to writing your problems a different way. At this point, your problems need to look like this. Really neat and really organized and not all over the place. And not these ugly division symbols unless we're scratch papering it because we're not using a calculator or some other nonsense like that, right? Excuse me. So keep it neat. Your work, in my class at least, should look like my work on this video, at least, if not better, right? So, number 5. This time, we're going to write as a percent. So we're going to do 1/4. So when we're converting a fraction to a percent, then we first do a fraction to a decimal, and then we move the decimal place 2 places to the right. Okay? That's how we do this thing. Let's take a look at it. So we're going to start by converting this to a decimal. To convert a fraction to a decimal, we divide. The one that goes in the house is the one on the top, right? So we're doing 1 divided by 4. Point, and then 0, 0. That's the most we'd ever have to go. Excuse me, is to the thousandths place. We may not have to go that far on this one, but that's the most we would have to go if we had to go out further. 4 goes into 10 twice. 2 times 4 is 8. Subtract it. We got 2. Bring down the 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. We don't have to go any further because 5 times 4 is 20, and we end up subtracting and end up with 0. So don't forget to float up that decimal point. So it's 0.25, right? Now, to convert that finally into a percent, we move the decimal over once, twice. What we're doing is multiplying it by 100. Remember to divide by 100 to go from a percent to a fraction, or a decimal to a fraction. We are really multiplying by 100. To go the other way around, we're dividing by 100. To go the other way around, we're multiplying by 100. Right? So this ends up being 25%. All right. Let's look at example number 6. Example number 6 is 6/5. Same drill. We're going to divide. The one on the top goes in the house. I don't know why I'm smushing it way up there at the top. I'm not going to have room for that. 5 goes into 6.000. Yeah, I don't know that we'll have to go out that far, but that's the most we'd ever have to go out. 5 goes into 6 once. Don't forget to float up your decimal. 1 times 5 is 5. Subtract. We end up with 1. Bring down a 0. 5 goes into 10 twice, right? 2 times 5 is 10. Subtract it. Get 0. We're finished. Now we just need to move that decimal place over once, twice. Now you'll notice this number, 6/5, is greater than 1, and our percentage is 120%. So it's because it's greater than 1, we expect a more than 100%. Good show, old bean. Let's do a word problem, and then we're going to be done with this lesson. All right. On his math test, Jorge got 26 questions out of 30. Find Jorge's grade as a whole number percent. Okay. So we're going to start by when we're doing a word problem, we want the part over the total. So 26 over 30, which doesn't, like that last problem, it doesn't always mean, now a lot of times it does in a lot of real life situations, but it doesn't always mean that the part is going to be a smaller number, right? If we have a greater yield than expected, or who knows, right? So now we're going to just convert that to a percent. So 30 goes into 26. Now that 26/30, that's reduces. So let's reduce it. We can divide the top and bottom. I think I should scooch this over. What do you think? Make that easier to do how we normally do things. And we're going to divide the top and bottom by 2. So we end up with 13 over 15. There you go. Numbers are smaller, easier to work with. 15 goes into 13.000. 15 goes into 13 0 times. Don't forget to float up your decimal. 15 goes into 130. How many times? Let's see. It's going to be coming out even. Let me grab my calculator and do all that stuff. I could probably do it in my head, but, whatever. 130 divided by 15. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so 15 times 8 is what we're headed towards. Let me change my thing to the scratch papery color. 15 times 8. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 4 is 12. 120. Right? So we're going to put 8 right here, and we just decided and figured out that 8 times 15 is 120. 130 minus 20 is 10. bring down to 0. 15 goes into 100. How many times? Does that come out evenly? No, it doesn't. It doesn't come out evenly. In fact, I think I know what that is, but I feel like my brain is foggy. So yeah, we're going to do 15 times 6. Times 6. 5 times 6 is 30. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 3 is 90, right? So we're going to do a 6 right here and a 90 right here. Oh, look, we've got a repeating decimal, right? Because we're going to subtract that and get a 10, bring that down. We've got 100 again, so it's going to be 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. Those are probably 6s, right? But we're going to round to a whole number percent, so we don't really care very far. We're going to move the decimal place over twice, once, twice. So we're rounding right here, and so we're looking right here. This 6 is greater than 5, so we're going to round up. So our final answer is 87%. Blapo. There we go. Fractions and percents, converting fractions to percents and percents to fractions. We'll look at more things in the rest of the unit. Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you on the flip side. Check out emberlearninglabs.com to see what else we're doing. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe.